I saw this ad on Instagram to start doing a Stanley Cup trivia quiz, and I figured, hey, I'll go to my computer, I'll record it, and sure enough, I went a little ways through the quiz and realized, oh, I'm not being recorded. That kind of is lame, but it never gave me any of the answers before that, so I don't actually know the answers right now. I guessed a few. This actually turned out way harder than I thought because I thought it was going to be like trivia, like who's won the most Stanley Cups, and that is a question, but there's a lot of also random questions. So I'll kind of go through it, I guess, quicker, so you don't have to watch me go, as much, at least for the first few questions. So I don't know the answers. I don't know if I actually clicked the right one, so I'll probably click the same ones. I didn't look anything up. But if you don't want to have this spoiled for you, I'm going to put the link in the description if you want to do this yourself. Show me your scores in the comments. That would be pretty sweet. And then come back and see how I do compared to you and see if you can beat me at this. I think it'd be pretty fun. You probably can, honestly, because I thought that this was going to be easy for me. I thought that I was going to do well, and I'm not sure on almost all these questions. I'm just not sure. So let's do this. These guys talk to us too. Get some nice sound bites from these bad boys in the NHL. Anyway.
True or false? The Stanley Cup is the oldest trophy in North American sports.
So for this one, I was thinking it's got to be between the MLB trophy and the NHL one, because I feel like the other two are way too new. They're almost certainly way too new. If they're not, that's weird, because the NBA is a lot newer, and the NFL, I believe, is still newer than the NHL. And the Stanley Cup was there well before the NHL. The MLB has been around forever, and so I'm not sure. It's between those two. I said true, because, again, I wasn't sure if they had that. I don't even know what the MLB one is called, where they have all those flags, but... And it does say North American sports. I'm assuming that means the Big Four. Either way, MLS, how far back does that go? Right? Not very far at all. So, is there some other sport that has a trophy, like golf? Is there I don't know. Anyway, I'm not sure. I'm just going to put true because that's what I did before.
What is on the bottom of the Stanley Cup?
Now, this one I was thinking it was the NHL Shield, but I wasn't sure if I had seen that on the bottom of the Stanley Cup itself when players lifted it, or if I had seen that on some, Stanley Cup figure product that I had. Because I'm not sure, because I have a little figurine and I just look at it and it's like the NHL Shield is on the bottom. So I don't know if that's just for that, or if I did see it on the bottom of the Stanley Cup. It could be the Hockey Hall of Fame logo. It could be nothing. I guessed NHL Shield because I thought that's what I saw, but I can't be 100% sure. Until the end of this, I guess. I hope it shows me my answers. Hope it's not one of those things that says, oh, fill in your email address and then we'll send you the results. Hopefully not. But anyway.
How often is a ring removed from the Stanley Cup to make space for new names?
This one I wasn't sure about either. Again, a lot of these I wasn't sure about. I ended up going with 13 years because it's whenever the ring fills up, and 5 feels like they can get more on a ring than just 5 teams. I would imagine that'd be, I don't know, that'd be interesting. They could maybe fit 20 on there, but it feels like that's a little too much. So I did go with 13. I know I've heard this before. I know I've heard it a million times, and I'm just like, I just don't remember. But I'll go 13.
Last season I lifted the Stanley Cup. How much does it weigh?
Again, I have no idea how much it weighs. I know this is another thing that I hear all the time. Some announcer is going to say, this thing weighs this much. I ended up going with 45 pounds. Maybe I should go with 50, but I did originally click 45, so I'll just click that again.
The Stanley Cup is a trophy on the go. Approximately how many days of the year does it travel?
I don't know this. I was talking about how little I've ever gone to the Hockey Hall of Fame. I've been there one time. I live on the other side of Canada than Toronto, so I've barely been to Toronto. So I've barely been to the Hockey Hall of Fame. And I know they talk about it there because that's where it is when it's not traveling around, right? So I don't know. I went with 259. Because it seemed like an oddly specific number. So I was like, maybe I'll choose that. So that's what I went with. We'll see how it goes.
Who is the Stanley Cup named after?
And this one I was like, it's obviously named after Lord Stanley, but is it Lord Stanley of Preston? Was Lord Stanley somehow the Duke of Devonshire? Like, it could have been. It's not General Lord Byng of Vimy, but unless that's some other name that he had. I just went with Lord Stanley of Preston because I know it's named after Lord Stanley, and I wasn't sure if he was the Duke, or if he was from Preston, but I still went with that.
Which NHL team has won the most Stanley Cups?
This one was easy. This was Montreal. Everyone knows this one.
I once filled the Stanley Cup with ice cream. How many ounces does it hold?
Yeah, and this is another one. Like I measure things in liters. Like I know a 2-liter pop bottle, 2-liter pop bottle. I know what that's like. 1 liter, 590 whatever, 3 or 4 milliliters. I know the pop bottles, and I know them in liters, and I have no idea how to convert that to fluid ounces. I think I went with 168 here, just because I was like, just seems like, again, it seems like it would hold a decent amount of whatever. It seems like I probably would be able to pour a 2-liter pop bottle in there, I would imagine, into the Stanley Cup. Not that I ever will. But anyway, I just went with that.
How long was the Stanley Cup around before the NHL was formed?
Now, this is the question that I was on, and I wasn't sure, because I know the NHL was formed in 1917. And so how long before that? I was thinking the number 1893 that just came to mind. And so I'm just kind of thinking, how long would that be? So we got 17 years, which goes to the 1900s, and then you add another 17, or not 17, another 7 if it's 1893. That's my thought. And so 17 plus 7 should be 24. And so, yeah, I'll go with 24 because I feel like I've heard that number, 1893, in when the Stanley Cup was introduced and donated by Lord Stanley of wherever. I guess we'll find out. But yeah, I'll go 24. Was that the last question? It's one of those email things. Okay, I'll fill this out and see what my answers are.
True. The Stanley Cup is the oldest trophy in North American sports.
The Hockey Hall of Fame logo is on the bottom of the cup.
A ring is removed from the Stanley Cup every 13 years to make space.
Nice.
The cup weighs 35 pounds.
The Stanley Cup travels about 300 days a year.
The Stanley Cup is named after a former Canadian Governor General, Lord Stanley of Preston,
Nice.
who donated the trophy in 1893.
The Montreal Canadiens have won the most Stanley Cups at 24.
Yeah.
The Stanley Cup holds 168 fluid ounces.
Nice.
The Stanley Cup outdates the NHL by a full 24 years.
Nice.
That is, the Stanley Cup was created in 1893, while the NHL was officially established in 1917 on November 22nd.
Awesome. Sweet. Well, I got six of them right. So, see if you can beat that.